Do the Pittsburgh Steelers still have a deficiency at the cornerback position? Is Kenny Pickett poised to take his year two leap? That and much, much more here on All About the Game. Welcome back, everybody, to All About the Game. I'm your host, Jason, and we're here on Mic Drop Sports. Welcome back. I appreciate you stopping through. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Levi Wallace. He's still here, guys, and I think a lot of people are forgetting that he's still here. We're going to talk a little bit of KP8 news. Not news, but just what people and his teammates are saying about him here this offseason as we move towards Latrobe, Pennsylvania. For training camp for the Pittsburgh Steelers here to kick off the 2023-2024 season. Kenny Pickett is getting a lot of praise, guys. A lot of praise from his teammates. They're calling him a study hound. They're calling him just like a gym rat, guy that's always there, guy that's always present. Levi Wallace said he was just on Good Morning Football America, and he was saying, hey, Kenny Pickett, making me stay late, studying tape last year for the Buffalo week. He was like, come on, man, stay here. I need to know. I need to pick your brain. I need to be able to prepare for the Bills. And the Steelers were just not slightly, big time outgunned in that game. They got that ass whooped. However, Kenny Pickett still had that mentality of, hey, man, let's get in the room. Let's get in the film room. Let's study. Let's do it up. And people are noticing that, guys. A lot of his teammates are noticing that. Cam Hayward on his 3 and Out podcast was talking about how Kenny was the same way, a study hound, a guy that's always being a competitor, always trying to make the room better. And then you see that chemistry Kenny got with Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, and that room and how they're gelling and how there's so many years of experience now in that room, believe it or not, even though Kenny Pickett is just going into year 2. You have Mitchell Trubisky, who's been a franchise guy, who's been in the league a while, who's been a backup to Josh Allen, who spent a year in Pittsburgh and went through some trials and tribulations and understands this NFL game. And then you have Mason Rudolph, who's been an understudy of Ben Roethlisberger. Didn't get much from him, according to him, and Ben, their relationship didn't seem to be the best. However, you had a year where Mason was with Devlin Hodges, and they were battling it out with each other to try to keep the Steelers above 500, try to get them into that playoff spot and trying to win games. And those are experiences that are invaluable, if you ask me. So you have Mitchell, you have Mason helping Kenny along. Now you have Kenny Pickett in that year, in that offseason, where he knows he's the guy. He knows what he's preparing for. He's been through an NFL season, that rigmarole of just constantly, every day, pounding it out. That's a hard thing for a college guy to come into. A college season is a quick hitter for an NFL guy if they only had to play and do what the college guys had to do. That's a quick season for them. This is a long haul. This is 23 to 24 weeks of just pounding it out, especially if you make it to the Super Bowl. You know, this is a long road to travel. And now that Kenny Pickett has that ability of knowing, hey, this is what it takes to maintain my body, to maintain my study habits, and stay focused and not overwhelm myself and be able to just have an even keel throughout the season, that is going to prove to be pretty big for him. And you add all these weapons to Kenny, and with the studying and with the abilities that he found last season, to where, hey, I know what I'm doing. I can start to pick apart some of these defenses now because my speed in my head is going to be a lot faster. I'm going to be able to process things a lot quicker. And whenever Kenny's now going on his 3 to 5 step drop and he's looking back at that zone coverage, he's going to be able to go through his reads more efficiently now. To where last year he struggled against zone defenses. And that was just one of his major deficiencies. And now that you're hearing his teammates say, hey, here in OTAs, here in voluntary mini camps, Kenny is now able to process his progression a lot quicker. I know it's football in shorts, guys. Football shorts and a helmet. Yeah, I get that. And it's hard to tell anything, especially with the line position. You really can't tell anything. However, when you're dealing with these skill positions and you're going up against 7-on-7 play, and you're having the DBs and the receivers and you're working through routes and different coverages and breaking down things, you're able to see how these quarterbacks are able to go through their progressions, how they're able to pick and choose their spots, how they're able to manipulate things around with motions and slide DBs to where they need to slide them and just move things around in a proficient way to set up matchups that are more conducive to winning and more conducive to that wide receiver winning that matchup. So you're able to see that in these types of drills, believe it or not. You're able to see a great deal. And I know that it's far fetched to say that you can see something in football in shorts, but you can in that instance. You really can. And his teammates are saying, hey, Kenny's not just dumping it down to his first read, trying to get it out of there quick. And that's where the Steelers were in trouble last year, in the year before, that, in my opinion, due to the deficiencies on the offensive line. You had to get the ball out quick because otherwise you're getting your head taken off. You have to get the ball out quick in those types of scenarios. You got to. So you're not able to push the ball down the field whenever you have that happening. But now Kenny's going to be able to have another half second to a second to be able to go through read one, read two, read three, however he got to do it, which is going to make things a lot simpler. And you're going to be able to take more shots down the field. And if you add some speed, like a Calvin Austin III, you're able to now be able to just have somebody blow the top off that defense to where you're going to create some underneath separation, some underneath mismatches in the middle of the field, out to the outsides. You're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to bring backs out of the backfield. You're going to bring tight ends in motion and have them run those middle to short routes to where now you have that safety valve. Kenny's going to be aware that they're there, but also be able to take that big time shot because he has some speed, guys. And he's going to be able to draw people in. These DBs, this is defensive backfields, they're going to be able to be drawn in a little bit. Why? Because now the running game should be a little bit better. So this all stems from the addition of the offensive line pieces that they've got. Hopefully Broderick Jones comes through with some big play and is able to play early. However, the people in front of him, I feel that they've had a good offseason. A Dan Moore, people like that. I feel that they've had good offseason so far to where maybe they're going to be able to just stay there for a little bit, let Broderick learn. However, we'll see how the injuries play out. You know, it's all just a big puzzle. And you have to have some sort of luck, though. You have to be able to let those pieces fall into place, have some luck, let things fall your way. But Kenny Pickett should be able to be way better. And his major deficiency was that zone coverage. However, though, now with that offensive line, you're going to be able to run the football, do the play action pass. It's just going to work so much smoother. And I think we're really going to see it pay big dividends come week one. Now, in the preseason, I don't think they're going to let all the tricks out of the bag. I think they're just going to practice their normal preseason things. Hey, let's run the football. We'll set up a play action pass here or there. Let's figure out our formations. Let's figure out our motions and get fluid in those, and use it as what they're really trying to use it for, as practice is what it is. So they're going to use that time to do those things and become more cohesive as a unit. Latrobe, Pennsylvania is going to prove to be a place where Kenny can gain that fluidity with the offensive line, because this is going to be a new group. At least some pieces are going to be a new group. Isaac Sumalo, players like that. It's going to be a new group. Let's see how Nate Herbig does he battle and get a spot. Just different people, that are going to be in there. That an offensive line that was starting to gel and starting to get better, you still have some of those pieces. Let's see what the addition of some quality professionals will do to that. And let's see how that lets the Steelers be able to build on that for year two of Kenny Pickett. And I truly believe, guys, that you're going to see one of the biggest jumps from a rookie quarterback that you've seen in quite some time, from year one to year two of Kenny Pickett, because he was really starting to come on last season. And I know everyone's like, oh, he was picked 20th. Yeah, however, he was the first quarterback taken in a slightly weak quarterback draft. Not slightly, it was a weak quarterback draft. But I think a lot of people overlook Kenny Pickett due to his hand size, due to his limited amount of college tape, because he was really only special in one season in college. He did play, but he was only special in one season. So I think that scared a lot of teams off, or I'd have think New Orleans would have picked him up. Places like that that needed a quarterback at the time. But thankfully for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they passed up on him, and the Steelers didn't have to give up a bunch of draft capital to go up and get their guy. They knew what they had in Kenny Pickett. They've seen him play every day. They were able to evaluate him throughout his college career. Don't think they're not looking at that. That's a free evaluation. They get to see something for free. They're not tampering with anything. They get to see firsthand knowledge. Narduzzi gets to tell them, hey, this is what I got in this guy. They're not going to bullshit each other. They're going to tell each other the truth. So the Steelers knew what they had in Kenny Pickett, and they were just crossing their fingers long enough and hoping long enough that nobody would pick him up and that they would fall to him and that they didn't have to make any big moves. And I'm sure they heard the rumors that people weren't going to be taking quarterbacks, so they just let it ride and rolled the dice. And that was one of the last big things Kevin Colbert did for this franchise, was get Kenny Pickett. So we'll still see the effects of Kevin Colbert, the old general manager, hopefully for years to come with the pick of Kenny. So let's see how that goes, guys. But that's my prediction. I think he's going to take a big year two leap. I think things could really look good for him. And just depending on the health of the team, the health of the defense, I think it could be a special year if that happens. So let's move into Levi Wallace. I heard some people on the Colin Cowherd show talking about, I think it was the guy that sits there with a little mic and just adds in sometimes to Colin. I can't remember his name, but I heard him say, the Steelers have a real deficiency at the cornerback position still. I feel that that's one of their bigger needs still here in this offseason that they need to add before training camp, which they still might do, guys. They still may add somebody. They may go out and get a corner here. But with what they have right now, went out and got Patrick Peterson. I heard someone call this guy a fossil. You don't play as long in the NFL at the level he plays at, he's not a fossil. Let's just stop that right now. The guy, he's young at heart. You can see he wants to be there. He's really trying to help the young guys. He's really still got that want to play, and that's big. And when your heart's still young, I think that still gives you a little bit of juice in your legs. And last year, he wasn't just getting beat, and he wasn't just a shell of himself. He had the many picks. I mean, the guy was still on his game. And his mental game has to be top shelf right now. You've been in the league for a gazillion years. I mean, mentally, you should be pretty good. And with the possibility of him being able to move over into the slot corner role and just be able to play some special different packages, I think that might help and prolong Patrick Peterson's career. You might get another 2 years out of this guy. You never know. And he may want to play depending on how far the Steelers go and how far if they win, if they make it to a Super Bowl, that might re-energize him and want to keep him in Pittsburgh for a season or two here. So let's just see how that goes before we just call a guy fossil. And then you have the draft picks of Corey Trice, Joey Porter Jr. Those are two big staple end pieces. But let's not forget, the Steelers went out last season in the offseason and picked up Levi Wallace from the Buffalo Bills, an undrafted guy, a walk-on guy in Buffalo who made the team from Alabama, but wasn't drafted. But he played at a big-time program, so he knew what it took to be a top-shelf athlete, a top-shelf cornerback in the NFL, because he came from a program that's like the NFL. So you still have Levi. People are forgetting that. And with what the people I just said, that gives you 5 options at the cornerback position, right? 4 or 5 viable options right now, 4. That gives you just so many options on the edge. You don't have to start Joey Porter Jr. or Corey Trice. You don't have to put him in immediately. You can keep Peterson on the edge, and he should be good for 7 or 8 games there until you start to bring along the younger folks. And Levi Wallace could be steady, and he showed that he can play. Especially he showed last year with the Steelers. He can play ball still, and he's only in year 6. But But he really proved in Buffalo, he proved that he can play. He can hang with these top shelf elite receivers. So you can keep him out there on the edge. And then you can start mixing in the young guys and let them play some exotic roles and let them get, familiar with the system. So it's not all bad at the cornerback position. Do I think maybe a little bit more depth could help? Certainly. But would I consider it a big deficiency? Absolutely not. And that's my opinion. Absolutely not. I don't think it's a big deficiency. I think they could use a little bit of help and they still may add there. But when you still got a guy like Levi Wallace, a Patrick Peterson, you're not in desperation mode considering what you drafted. When you draft those two big, lengthy, long arm corners, good things could happen for you. So you're not in panic mode now. You have the possible future set up behind a Patrick Peterson, a Levi Wallace, who are steady veterans. Levi Wallace is a steady hand veteran right now. Patrick Peterson has proved to be a great corner for many years, an all pro. So you're not in a bad situation. So um, let's just not discount that position right now. Should they add? Surely we'll see. You always need to add to every position in my eyes. So anytime you could get a quality player, you might want to just go out and grab them, even if they're just a serviceable guy that's going to give you 20 snaps a game or something, to where you throw them in different situations that suit them best. So be it. Get them if they're on the cheap and you can afford them. But the Steelers are a steady organization, guys. They know what they're doing. You can see the plan. It's not like some of these other franchises to where you don't even see you can't even comprehend what direction they're going in. They're everywhere. They're here, there, everywhere, drafting people out of place, drafting for just the name sometimes instead of a need at a position or, a building block. You have to be able to draft those tackles, corners, quarterbacks, like three important positions that you need. Defensive line, four like mainstay, um, staple foundational pieces that you have to go out there and get. And you see some of these teams, they'll just go and draft anybody. Yep, okay, whatever. Just get this guy because he's got a big name. Do your homework, man. Figure out what your team needs. Figure out what your scheme is. And a lot of these teams just don't do that. They're changing coaches all the time. The coaching staff as a whole is constantly flipped, and you're just not getting any stability. And when you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're talking about stability. And you can see the plan that they have put in place. You can see where they're setting up the future. You can see that they have veterans in position to hold those spots until the future becomes ready and comes along, to where you can give them slow, even doses of playtime, to where you're not just thrusting them in there. Now, sometimes injuries happen and you got to thrust a fella in there here and there. So it is what it is. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, again, could be set up for a great year. We've seen a lot of analysts now. I put out a show about a week ago talking about don't sleep on the Steelers. They're potentially, one of them sleeper teams. Everybody's overlooking them. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing people talking about, oh, this is my sleeper pick. Watch out for the Steelers. They can't make up their mind. They go, back and forth. I don't know what they're talking about. But hey, I've seen it both ways. I've seen them not pick them. I've seen them pick them. But the Steelers are always a steady hand that's there. So don't discount your hometown team, guys. Don't discount it. The Steelers are in a very tough AFC. I seen Lewis Riddick that was on the Rich Eisen show, and he was talking about how damn good the entire AFC seems to be, where you could take a division and look at it and say, I could potentially see each team in that division with a path to the playoffs. Every team. And not just saying it, legitimately be able to analyze it, break it down, and say like they have a real path to the playoffs and that they have a real possibility to be good. And that goes for a lot of divisions. The AFC East, the AFC North. I mean, the AFC West has several teams in it that could be really good. Just the list goes on and on and on. I mean, there's quality quarterbacks in the AFC. You've added a veteran in Aaron Rodgers, who we'll see if he's still got the juice. You know, you have Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Herbert, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen, a Tua Tagovailoa, a Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and now you're bringing up guys like Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. It just goes on and on and on the list of quality quarterbacks. So to be able to come out of the AFC, you're going to have to be good because it is a damn good conference. The NFC, they have some players, but man, they're not loaded up like this AFC is, guys. And it's going to prove to be tough for any team. And you're going to have one thing, and I think it's going to be the most important. That is steadiness at the organizational level. That non-panic button. Those people that aren't hitting the panic button every time an injury happens, every time a bad loss happens. That's what you're going to need to be steady in the AFC. You're going to have that organizational structure, that franchise that's solid, that franchise that's always just even kill, never panicking. And I think that's what's going to be the separator in this conference, especially in the AFC North. I think that's what's going to separate these teams because I feel they're going to beat each other up pretty damn good. But the one thing that's going to separate them is, hey, the Steelers are foundationally sound. The Baltimore Ravens are usually a foundationally sound franchise. And then you're going to go look at the Browns, and they might flounder. The Bengals, they might flounder. They're not solid franchise. Their franchises aren't the most organized and the most stable. Now, the Bengals have been coming on in the last couple of years, so maybe they're going to get that stability, you know, to where they've had the same coach now for a little bit. They've got Joe Burrow as a franchise guy. They have their wide receiver one in Jamar Chase. So let's see how that goes for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see how steady they can be. I think we could see 3 playoff teams, as we've seen before, out of the AFC North, the Ravens, Steelers, and the Bengals. I think that could happen this season. But you still have a lot of teams to look out for. So just closing it up, guys. Keep on coming back. Thanks for watching Mike Drop Sports and the pod all about the game. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel and like the videos. Comment on them, guys. Let me know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear. We're in a pretty dry period of news right now. So let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll make some content on it, and we'll talk about those types of issues. Remember, we're almost to where we need to be to start those live shows, so keep pushing the channel. I appreciate you stopping through, and thanks for coming to Mike Drop Sports and the pod all about the game.